So one of the things I wanted to share today it's called How You Do One Thing. And so on our team training Thursday night, we were sharing little nuggets of gold that we got at the leadership retreat last weekend. We were sharing those with our team. And John Maxwell, during his talk, he said this, and I've heard this before, and I've liked it before, but it just kind of struck me this time. And so he said, how you do one thing is how you do everything. So I thought about that, and, how you do one thing is how you do everything. Now, what I say is, if you do one thing with excellence, you're going to do everything with excellence. And so I said that to somebody, and they were like, yeah, but I don't agree with that, because you may not be good at everything. And I said, well, that doesn't mean that you're good at everything. It means that you do things with excellence. And what does that mean? So doing things with excellence means you do them to the best of your ability. Like, you don't haphazardly do them. You don't just halfway do them. You may not do it exactly right, but you put everything you have within you into accomplishing that thing. And so that's what doing things with excellence means. I'm a recovering perfectionist, and I've always thought, well, I have to do things exactly right. And that puts so much stress on you, because, there are things I don't do well. But even though I don't do them well, I can still do them with excellence. And so that's how I want to live my life. I want to live my life doing things with excellence, whether that's making up my bed, whether that's doing the dishes, whether that's painting, whether that's being a health coach, whether, on my job as a computer programmer, all those many years ago, I wanted to do that job with excellence. Now, that's also doing things I don't enjoy. I want to do even things I don't like. And I'll be honest with you, I don't like housework. I don't like washing clothes. I don't like doing dishes. But I do those things with excellence, because how you do one thing is how you do everything. Now, along those same lines, like, we can talk about something else. What about how you do one thing? If you do one thing with integrity, you'll do everything with integrity. It's not just about the quality, it's about how you do things. If you do everything with a good one thing with a good attitude, you'll likely do everything with a good attitude. That doesn't mean you're not going to have bumps in the road. That doesn't mean that you're not going to have bad days. It doesn't mean that if you wake up and you're like trudging through, it doesn't mean that. But it means, as a general rule, if you do things with integrity, you're going to do everything if you do one thing with integrity, you'll do all things with integrity. By the same token, if you do one thing without integrity, you will likely do other things without integrity. So I think that was so true and so powerful. And so thinking about that, like, how do you do one thing? I think that's important to look at, because, if you do one thing based on others' opinions, you'll do everything based on other people's opinions. And so, I think we just have to kind of evaluate, like, how do I do one thing? Am I consistently doing things with integrity? Am I consistently doing things with excellence? Or am I doing the opposite? But what that does is give you information. One of the other things he said that I thought was so powerful was, success is built on failure. And so, a lot of people go into life with a fear of failure, go into new things with a fear of failure. You don't need to fear failure. Failure is only information. Failure is just information of how not to do something the next time. And so, looking at it like that, like having a different perspective, and I thought that was so good, because, we're not going to do everything just right. We're not going to do everything perfectly, especially not the first time. We're going to have that information of failure to know how to do things the next time, how to improve, how to get better. And, I think just realizing that, don't be scared to try new things. Even if you don't do it exactly right, like you can take that information for the next time. So anyway, how you do one thing is how you do everything. And then failure is just a stepping stone to success. So hope y'all have a great weekend. I hope this Minutes with Michelle just gave you some food for thought. And, y'all go out there and make it a great day. Love you.